Hey there! Welcome to the Flute 360 podcast. I'm Dr. Heidi Kay Begay, and I'm a flutist, educator, coach, and podcaster. My God-given mission is to serve you. I am passionate about guiding you, the modern-day flutist, to discover your unique voice on and off the stage. The goal of this podcast is to help you thrive, both as an artist and as a musicpreneur. Go ahead and grab your espresso, your favorite notepad, and let's get to it. Today's episode is episode 331, and it's titled, Create More, People Please Less, with Melvine Naliaka. Hey there, 360 listener. Before we dive into today's episode with Melvine, I have an important heads up. This is your last week to join the Flute 360 Accelerator for June. Our next live session is happening this Saturday, June 28th, 2025, and our special guest is none other than Dr. Kristen Caliendo. These kinds of expert-led sessions are rare and incredibly meaningful, filled with warmth, insight, and connection. If you've been craving that feeling of finally being seen, of using your gifts in a way that actually feels fruitful, and of shutting out the old lies that said you weren't good enough, this space is for you. Tier 2 or Tier 3 gets you into the live session. Click the link in the show notes below to save your seat. You're worth it. Hi, Mel.
Oh, hi. Sorry. Hi. Oh my gosh.
It's so great to meet you.
Great to meet you too.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent.
Well, you're starting your day, right?
Yes, we are. Yeah, so I have my green tea and I'm ready to go.
Ooh, that's really nice. Well, I'm from work, so it's already dark outside. Yeah.
Where do you work?
I work in a school called Viraj. It's
Okay.
it's in Nairobi, a place called Syokimau.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really far from where you are, obviously.
Yeah. So do you live in Nairobi?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I don't know if
Really?
I told you that, but that's where my brother-in-law is from. Is
Oh,
Nairobi.
you had mentioned that. You said from Kenya, but I didn't know it's specific to Nairobi. That's really nice. You're in which state?
Texas.
Oh, because my uncle lives in Arizona, so he kept on asking, which state? I was like, I don't know yet.
No, the funny thing is though, my husband is from Arizona and we
Oh,
got
really?
married on the Arizona-New Mexico border. So I know
Oh,
the area very well.
okay. That's really nice.
Yeah. What city is he in?
I don't know. I just know he's in Arizona somewhere.
That's good enough. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's one of the 50 states.
Some hot place in Arizona, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh my
So,
goodness, it's so meet you.
oh, same here. Thank you for carving out time.
Like, I've looked up to you, I'm not even kidding, since I started playing flute. When you messaged me, when you actually commented on my Instagram post, I was like, oh my goodness, this is not happening. So my uncle is really close to me. So I called him, like, no way. This person just did this. And then when you were so kind through your DMs, it's like, nah, this can't be real. So I kept on going back to your profile. I'm like, I'm not being scammed, am I? I kept on checking. Is this the same person? And then when you sent the voice note, it was a confirmation that, oh yeah, she's human.
That's good. Well, you're very kind and you're very sweet. And thank you for listening to the podcast for all these years. And when you
Yeah.
messaged me and you said that the show and the platform was an inspiration for you during university years,
Yeah.
I was blown away. Because for me, and a lot of
Yeah.
times, like I talk into the microphone and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, hello, is anybody out there? And then when I get to actually meet one of my listeners,
Yeah.
and it's very apparent like how the content and the people and the stories have helped said person, then I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, they're there. And then it's almost tickle me pink a little bit more, like pinch me of going, oh my goodness, this beautiful girl Mel is from Nairobi, Kenya. She's halfway across the world. I haven't been to Kenya yet. I want to go to Kenya.
You should.
And then, yeah, I will someday. When I come, I'll have to knock on your door. And then I felt this being even closer to you because of my brother-in-law. And I can share with you later my family history with missionary work in central part of Africa. But you were so sweet and so kind. And for you to receive the message and reply back, it means the world to me too. So the feeling is mutual.
Hey, that's good. Oh my, this is so insane. Sorry, I'm still taking it all in.
Oh, you're sweet.
Huge, like the people you bring to the podcast is just mind blowing. Like it's always someone that I always like in the moment in the season of my life. I'm like, yeah, I needed to hear that.
Ooh, okay.
Like for example, you brought Haley Miller on. And she's a huge inspiration for me because of this one YouTube video of how she plays Cecile Chaminade, the concertino. She plays so well. So I've been looking for interviews about her, and obviously you had her on. So I'm like, you've met the greats, and you are part of the greats. So this is just crazy.
Oh, you're sweet, and you're part of the greats because of your amazing work that you're doing to bring music to Kenyan students who may not have access to our art form. And you are one of the greats, and I look up to you. And the fact that you are volunteering and contributing and using your skills in a very businessly way to say, hey, I want to find these books to help Kenyan students and Kenyan readers. And I want to find these instruments to open up Kenyans' eyes and Kenyan people's eyes and let them have access to such beautiful music. You're amazing. And I look up to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're so kind.
So let's start there. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and like the work that I just hinted at?
Okay. So I'm Melvin, obviously. I am currently full-time teacher. I'm a music teacher where I work at right now. And what else about me? I've been playing flute since uni. So the thing about even my flute journey is a bit interesting. I didn't start with a teacher. And it was more of I didn't have access to that. When I was starting picking an instrument, really, I was a bit scared. Because when you look at videos on YouTube and like people abroad, people start playing instruments when they're really young. So when I'm thinking of picking an instrument in university, I'm like, will I get to that point really? I'm already old. Will I ever get to that point? And I used to Google a lot, like, is this worth it? Should I do it or no? Should I pick an easier instrument? Is there an easier instrument? So I was looking at all those variations, and in the end, I just decided the best I can do is show up and try it out. So I talked to one of my university professors, and the thing is, she wanted me to pay for the private lessons. And in the moment, I wasn't really in a position to do that. So she actually just suggested then take the instrument, go try and make a sound at home. And then if you decide on doing it, we can talk more. So once she gave me that instrument, I remember I started watching this French YouTube lady. And it just started from there. And it was so natural for me, even getting that sound. And I just fell in love with the instrument. I tried to practice a lot. I used to make noise for people. I'm really sorry to my neighbors. But it was so much hope when I started playing, and it was not as hectic. The hecticness came back after for a while, like when you're trying to get the finger dexterity and all that stuff. But just starting out, it was more of a calling. It was like that instrument called to me. And I started playing. I remember my first orchestra was really scary. I didn't even want to walk in. I felt so not worthy to do it. I was like, this is not the place where I'm supposed to be. And my friends, they were encouraging me. They used to tell me, it's okay, people just go there and mess up. But I'm a huge overachiever. I don't want to mess up. They can mess up. I don't want to mess up. And I remember the first rehearsal, I didn't walk into the room. I just came in and I had the music and I felt so unworthy. I went back home. And I sat home, I was a bit sad. So I kept on practicing because of that. And that was now the journey. And then I've been playing with orchestras and teaching the instrument. And I think that's also what led me to even start the recorder orchestra. Here in Kenya, the most accessible instrument is the recorder. So every student has to play the instrument. But now a lot of the students look down on the instrument because it's not the cool instrument. But now the problem is they can't make the music if they don't like the instrument. So it's trying to create awareness that this instrument is actually good. It can make good music. You just need to find the good music to play on it and play maybe in an ensemble and let people play different things. Make it sound nice. And I think that's what made me to think about that and just make them walk into that space of it's not just an instrument that you have to pick up in class, but it's an instrument that can make you read music much faster. And maybe in future, if you want to pick another instrument, it will be much nicer if you already know how to read music. So I started that with the students that I teach. It was not easy to get kids to pick it, but it was more of just advising them and encouraging them that it's okay. We can start with this, and then later in life, just look at the bright future. At least you would have played an instrument. You can say you played in an orchestra. So I started that, and it's really going on really well. We have a concert that we were invited to this coming month, and it's so incredible seeing how kids are growing in it and taking different responsibilities. Kids are practicing and they're loving the instrument now. And as much as that's the only instrument that they have access to, it has changed from it being a have to learn instrument to I actually want to learn this instrument. So yeah, that's it about the whole recorder beginning thing here in Kenya. I also started a book business because I feel like I'm a huge dreamer and I tend to just start things because I feel it in my heart. Like the recorder thing, I didn't overthink it. It was that I can arrange music for just kids. It's just kids and they will love it. And how great will it be when they're now performing songs that they never thought they could perform on such an instrument. So that's the same thing about the book business, where also growing up, I did have a lot of access to newly released books. I've posted that on my Instagram, and it was more of when I was growing up, I was more of an introvert kid. And since now the popular books were obviously popular because they're new and trendy, but I used to like reading. So I tended to get more focused on the books that I could afford in the moment, and those were secondhand books. And I found something that I could enjoy life with, and those were books that have been used before, and it was really nice. Sometimes you could get a note written there. Some books were signed, so it was really nice. So that really encouraged me also to start a book business back here. And that was really my first step into entrepreneurship as a whole. And it showed me a lot of things. For starters, I didn't know how tasking it would be. I thought I love this. And if I love something, it will be nice. I just need to love it fast. They say if you love your job, you don't have to work a day in your life. So I love this. So I decided to start the business, and I was working a full-on 7 to 4:30. I have to teach, and that's a whole task in itself. I had orchestra rehearsals, and now I have to make content for the books because it's now fully online. I also wanted to make content for my music and not get so caught up into not trying to balance both. I was trying to really balance both. It became really tasking, balancing both. I remember I got so burnt out because I'm trying to look for video ideas and trying to be relevant to the people that I'm trying to connect to. And also came to realize one thing, that readers are really specific. If a reader wants this book, it's so hard to convince them that, hey, so you want to read this one, but maybe you can read this one. That's one thing that I came to learn, that they're really specific. And since I love this adventure, I didn't really walk into the nitty gritties of how the market is. And in Kenya, it's actually really saturated, which is something that I didn't know. So they sell books in the streets, and mostly the most popular bookstores are those that sell newly released books. But that was okay. It was a good learning process. I could balance. I tried to balance. It's something that I think anyone can do as long as you know how to manage your time and not let one thing take a lot from you. For example, I let like teaching take a lot from me. I used to give my all, and not knowing when I get home, it's okay for me not to answer that email. It's okay for me not to mark those papers. It's okay. I can do it tomorrow. So it was just so hard. I'm a huge overachiever. I want to do everything so perfectly. But now in the moment, I didn't really know when to say no to certain projects. For example, we would have concerts in school. Oh, yes, we can do that. I can prepare kids. But now that would take a lot from me. So the book business right now, it's on a pause. I have a full shelf of books right behind me, and I am so happy about it. I am not sad at all. So it's a good thing that I think anyone can do. I think someone can start another business, because I'm thinking of another business. I can start making cookies. I can start making this. And it's just trying to do everything as one person and to know, hey, it's okay. You can do one thing at a time. And if you want to do two things at the same time, just know when to say no. Yeah.
Perfectly said. Oh my goodness. You said like 10 things that I would love to unpack more. The first thing that I'm so proud of you about is just the fact that you're noticing like what boosts you, what gets you excited, what are you drawn to? And then noticing the things that deplete you probably, right? And just realizing like, hey, I'm not a robot. I'm a human being, and I can only do so much in a day. And the reason why I highlight that is because you're not alone. A lot of flutists, just like you, they tell me like, I'm an overachiever. I'm a perfectionist. I want to do all these things, and I want to do it all really, really well. And, you know, a lot of times in my coaching, I tell them, I say, that's great, but there's only so much time in the day. So we have to really prioritize and focus on the things that you're really drawn to, the things that you feel God is calling you to do. And then from there, the other things that aren't so important, or maybe you can circle back to later, they can fall to the wayside for now, or they can pause. Like what you said, the book business, it's on pause, and you're okay with that. And there's this ebb and flow in life, and being really smart and being very aware of the season that you're in, the environment that you're in, and just in general noticing like what's needed. What void are you filling? What do you feel called to do? And you have to be almost courageous to say no to the other things. And maybe, do you feel this way? I don't know if this resonates with you, but maybe you or another listener out there, maybe it takes courage to say no. And maybe we feel like we have to take it all on because we're afraid if that opportunity has arose and it's come up to our attention now, if we say no to it, will it come back to us? And maybe we take on everything onto our plate because we're like, oh my gosh, I have to say yes to everything because of this fear of missing out. Here in America, we call that FOMO, fear of missing out. Have you heard of that saying before? FOMO? Okay. So maybe there's a sense of, a FOMO. And we're like, oh my gosh, I have to take it on. But then come to realize 2, 3, 4, 6 months later, oh my goodness, I am in massive burnout. What do I do? Is there anything in there that you feel resonates with you?
You said it perfectly, because I think personally, I was telling myself, I love doing this. I love reading books. And I should connect that to my music, because if you love doing something, you need to make people also see that. And when I actually started on TikTok, I was really growing with the whole business idea. I didn't want to now, okay, now I'm growing, and this is the point where I want to say no. And people are already seeing this. Why do I want to stop now? And I kept on pushing it. I tried to push it. And it was so hard to say, I'm putting this book business on a pause, because even telling my friends or like my family, I had a huge investment on this thing. I got this, I got a lot of books at the same time, and now you have books sitting in your house. And why did you decide to do this? Just keep on doing, don't stop. But at the same time, I have a lot of things that are still calling out my name. Now, the work, I have to go to work. I can't say I can stay at home. I have to go to work. I have to go for orchestra rehearsals because I really love to make music. It took me, I think, a month or so to just say, for now, it's okay. I'll just put a pause on this. And when it comes back, well and good. If it doesn't, my future kids have a whole library already waiting for them. So I'm doing it for them.
I love that. Finding the silver lining in it and finding the perks and the positive side to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing. So is there something, you're talking about entrepreneurship, and you're talking about how you felt this calling to be an entrepreneur, to open up your book business and your music business and things like that. What gave you, I'm just very curious, what gave you the idea to say, okay, I want more? Because a lot of flutists, they have to go to a 9-to-5 job. They have to go to the normal job to financially support them at first, to bring in and to pay the bills, right? And then for them to say, okay, I want to start a side hustle or a side business to bring in extra income, or this is my passion, or I feel called to do it. How do you juggle? Because I get this question a lot. How do you juggle both? How do you juggle both in terms of time and energy? Because working all day for 8 to 10 hours at the normal job, the regular job, and then coming home and switching hats and then flushing out, building out, expanding your business, that's a job in of itself. So how do you juggle it all?
Personally, I used to set a specific time for creating content. So I tried maybe creating videos in bulk on a Saturday when I'm not working. And so after work, it will just be editing, but that will take a lot of time. I think it's really hard to come to them being on this state. One will always be on top of the other. And I tried that. I tried to put my work on the same level as my new side business, and also try to add orchestra rehearsals over there. So I used to plan my day. I need to go to work, come back, practice a bit before starting to edit the videos so that I can put them out. And it was tasking in itself. So I had to decide which days am I practicing after work and which days am I editing for the content. So it was just planning my days, and that's where Google Calendar came in so handy, and just making sure that and I think this is where also the burnout came in, was every single hour of my life was so strategically planned. You would call me from 5 to 6. I am not available. I have to do one specific thing. And to do it, I had to just say no. It's also okay to say no to those friends wanting to go out. I think I really had to say no a lot. And I think that's how I balanced everything. It's just knowing that today work might take a lot of my energy away, and I might not finish editing that video, or I might not even practice. And that is fine. I can practice 15 minutes so that I can just feel good about myself. And it was just, I just want to cancel it out, even if I'm giving it the bare minimum. Yeah, I think that's how I tried.
No, I just met you, girlfriend, and I'm already so proud of you. That is literally amazing for you to say, I need a strategy, I need a plan, I need to organize, and I need to get ahead of the day. Like you just said, I almost look like a crazy person, because if I have down on my calendar 6 to 7, I'm doing video content, and you call me, guess what? Unfortunately, healthy boundaries go up, guardrails go up. I'm not available. And that's what you have to do. You have to put your blinders on to say, if I don't put up those guardrails, I'm going to get distracted with this, shiny bell syndrome. And it's like phone call here, text message there, Instagram reel here. Oh, somebody is knocking on the door. But if you don't put those guardrails up, then you won't be able to show up for yourself. You won't be able to fulfill the task at hand, your deepest desire. And then if that time passes, you can look back in hindsight and go, oh man, I didn't show up for myself, and kind of regret the fact that you didn't put out the book, you didn't put out the business, you didn't get to practice. And it's about learning how to say no. That's a big gem I'm hearing you say time and time again, is just, it's okay to say no. It's okay to put up those guardrails.
You say it so perfectly. I could not think it like that, but that's exactly how I feel, like exactly what you said. And also I was not raised up to be, okay, I was raised up in a very African home, and it's a bit hard to say no in an African home. It's always yes. My parents were very strict. So even learning to say no was a huge change in my life, because I'm a huge people pleaser. I used to people please a lot, and it had to take time where I had to sit down with myself and just decide, I'm doing this for me. And if I receive that phone call from 5 to 6, I'm doing it to make them happy, because I want to please them. But in the end, I'm the one who's going to hate myself before I go to bed and say, why didn't I do that? I should have said no. I should have said this, or I should have said this. And I think that's why I'm so incredibly happy that I started this business, because it just taught me a lot about myself too, and showed me things that I didn't know I could do. Before the book business, I had space after work, and was just practicing. And if today I don't feel like practicing, I just leave my instrument there feeling sad. But now, since the book business started and it's more about consistency on social media, I can't really rest without doing something. So it's really made me think a lot about, it's okay for me to say no sometimes, and people might get hurt, and that's okay. If they don't understand, they might understand later, but if they don't get to understand, then that's still okay. Yeah,
completely. I love that. And I love the piece that, and if you want to unpack this a little bit more, if you're comfortable with this, I would like to ask you a further question. And you brought up a piece of culture. Yeah. And it's so interesting, because I don't know if you know this, but my husband is Navajo, and he's from a very specific, Navajo is a tribe of the Native American culture from Arizona. And then we grew up with, a lot of different cultural influences from Japan, Africa, things like that. And this is something we don't talk a lot about on the podcast. So that's why I want to unpack it with you. You said in the African homes, in the African culture, you say yes. It's hard to say no. But is it correct? Am I hearing you properly when you say, I had to give myself that permission to override culture, to override the traditions, and say, if I want to get this done, and if I want to feel fulfilled at the end of the day, I need to say yes to myself.
Yeah. That is so true, because, okay, personally, I don't know if it's all African homes, but I know from my home where my parents are very strict, I want to please my parents. And that's the first thing I want to do. I want to go to school and make my parents very happy. And not just because I want to do this, it's because I really need them to be happy for me. And I think that created a thing in me where it was more of, for me to receive love in a specific way. I was supposed to make the other person happy more than making me happy. And if that meant, let's say, receiving that phone call or going to that party, it would mean I just need them to be happy. And it doesn't matter if I get late on my schedules and whatever I'm doing with my life. But it really took a lot from me to start saying that. And I came out rude to some extent. It was received with rudeness, and I don't love my culture, but I really do. I appreciate my parents. I love them dearly. But I had to change. And then, it's someone different. They're dealing with a kid who used to say yes a lot. And now this is someone who is now talking about boundaries and how they have this specific boundary and they would love if this boundary was not crossed. And it got really hard to communicate such things. But I did it. And it came, actually, it turned out really good because I learned a lot about communication too. I would just assume they would not take my no as a good no. They will take it as I'm being rude or something. But the more I communicated, it's like, hey, it's okay. Like, we want you to say no sometimes. It's fine. So yeah, it was more of, I think it was just embedded in my brain that I need to make my parents happy. So I need to always say yes. But I think from that perspective is we need you to be happy fast. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, girlfriend, I love how worlds collide. I think you secretly have a camera in my house listening to the things I told my husband a few days ago. You just nailed it on the head. You said you learned a lot about communication. Yeah. And I have a quick story that's very relevant to what you just displayed. And that is, I recently have been asked to mentor somebody through a struggle. And I knew the answer deep down. I knew how to advise them. I knew how to mentor them. I knew exactly what to say. But I felt like if I did my authentic mentorship, I felt like I was ruining, or I would cross a line where I felt like their reply would be, or they would think of me, oh, she's being harsh. Even if I displayed it in a very kind and loving way, I just assumed that they would perceive me as unloving or unkind. But actually, I took the leap. I was faithful. I had the courage to say what was on my heart, to mentor the way that I really felt, in a very kind and friendly way, the way that this person needed. And it actually landed on soft ears. It actually landed where they replied back saying, you know what, because you're so convicted about this, I too now am going to consider what you said. And it opened up my eyes. It was like, oh my gosh, communication is huge. And being honest and being vulnerable and how you deliver it, of course, is very crucial. Because if I would have said the same thing in a harsh way or different words, then obviously it's not going to land well. But we have power in showing up. And that was the lesson I learned. Was my bad was I assumed automatically that, oh, this person will think this of me. But actually, that wasn't the case at all. So full circle back to your circumstances, you decided to have that courage to say, no, I'm going to put up these guardrails. I don't have to people please. And you communicating through that transition to your family and friends, yeah, it might have been rocky at first, but then over time, you're like, oh my gosh, it really wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as I had made it up in my head. And that power of communication is so paramount for both parties.
And that is so true, because also I'm really young, and starting to work as a really young person, that drew me aside and to try and please everyone and prove to everyone that I'm actually really good, and I'm trying to be really good. I believe I'm really good, and that also at the workplace led to me not saying no a lot and wanting to prove myself. Hey, can you plan this concert? Yes, I can. Will you get the kids to do it? Yes, I will. But now in my mind, I still have nothing figured out. I'm just saying yes so that I can be given this opportunity to prove myself. And it has worked in my favor, saying that yes in that moment, in that time. But again, it's made me grow into a person who I can prove myself, but not by saying yes all the time. I can teach with everything that I have inside of me and make sure every single kid feels seen. And if they all feel seen, then my heart is happy and I feel fulfilled. And if the kid is happy, they're more open to do that concert. If they see that, it doesn't take just me saying yes and not seeing the kid first. So it led me to saying no and focusing on one thing at a specific time. And if it's job transitioning, getting to know the students better before trying to push them into things that they still don't know this stranger. So they might even be performing. And I think for performance, you have to do it willingly. So being forced just shows I don't want to be here. And that made me say no to projects at work. And it was not received kindly sometimes. And that is okay because there were specific things happening and maybe that concert was really needed. But I don't think I was in the right space and mind to do it in that time. And I'm really glad I said no. And it's really scary to say no to your bosses. And that's why I think I really grew up so fast, because being a young person is really hard when you start. Because I started working at 22, a full-time job, and I'm working with teachers who are older than me, and it's trying to learn from them, but at the same time trying to protect myself from being used too much. Yeah, that led to a lot of those. To a lot of forcing myself to say no.
Yeah, there's a funny story. I've never really relayed this to anyone, but here we go. So when I was a teaching assistant during my terminal degree, my last years of schooling at Texas Tech, I was the librarian for the different wind bands, wind ensemble, symphony, concert bands. So I would have to copy music, get everyone's folder ready. And there was a particular, I'll just say teacher. There was a particular teacher who was older, and I felt like he was very demanding outside of like the parameters of my assistantship. And one day he came in, he was just like saying, do this, do this, do this. And I was like, no, I'm sorry. Like, no, I need these things in a timely manner. And if I get these files ahead in advance, then I would be more than happy to do it. And I don't think he saw eye to eye to me. And I think our relationship got,
yeah, I get you.
Took a little bit of a hit, but you know what? Like, and it was hard. It was hard. And, even though I was probably 32, 33, I was a young woman, I wasn't 13 or anything. It still was hard for me to say no and to set up those boundaries, but I did. And, at the end of the day, if that other person doesn't see eye to eye and understand that you're doing something for the sake of like your own sanity, for the sake of what needs to be done and what's healthy and what is reasonable, then maybe that person shouldn't be in your life.
Exactly. And I think also just saying no in general is putting yourself first and saying, I'm choosing to have a clear mental state when I go home, and I want to be okay if I wake up and I'm not stressing about what's coming up. And it's okay for that person to not talk to you for a month or so. It's totally fine. It won't feel perfect at first because honestly, being a people pleaser is so hard. And I want everyone to be happy with me and everyone to think I'm kind. And also this deals with faith also. Like sometimes I'm expected to be kind. But again, I'm not, kindness is different from being nice. I can be kind and say, no, at this moment, I'm not going to be able to do that, and finish it at that. And I don't need to explain myself. I'm just saying, at this moment, I can't do that. And that someone should take that with kindness. I'm deliberate. I'm not being harsh or anything. I'm just being direct. And I think when I started working, that was kind of hard for me to separate from being kind and being nice, because I really want to be kind. And I love this verse about kind words build bones, and it's like honey to our souls. And I want to be kind and make everyone see that this is how Christ has shown me about the world. And I want to see everyone through the lens of Jesus. And I want to be this amazing person, but again, I can't do it to the expense of my own self. And I think that also led to a lot of depression before I even started saying no, because I'm trying to make people happy, but people will never always be happy. We are so imperfect. I will say yes today, but that yes is still not enough. Maybe you want me to finish a work thing, but now you want something else. And I can't do that something else at the same time. And it's people will never be content. So even
Yeah.
I don't have a content. I want to do a million things at the same time. But again, it's understanding that, hey, you are one person. If you drop down right now and go to the hospital, you are the only person who's going to feel the pain. No one else. Not to stay at work at night. No. It really took a
Yeah,
toll.
definitely. So you need to take care of yourself. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So the other thing that I want to pick your brain on as we're wrapping
Yeah.
up this amazing conversation is
Yeah.
how has your entrepreneurial world fed your flute music world? In the sense of like, has there been a business lesson that you completely applied it to your music world and you had this like light bulb aha moment? So for
Yeah.
example, my example in my world is that business people, they will put out like beta, or they will put out a rough draft of a course, of an ad. It's not perfect, and they'll put out 70%. And it's this idea of minimum viable product. Just
Mm,
get something out there and then you can tweak it later. And
yeah.
that aha moment was brought over into my practicing and my performing and what I put out into my flute world, because it's like, oh, this light bulb moment of going, oh, it doesn't have to be perfect. I can tweak it later. And I think that's so contradictory to us musicians. Us musicians are taught perfect, 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 and then you can put it out. But in the business world, it's opposite. So that's my example. Is there something
Yeah.
similar in your world that this thing has happened for you?
That is so similar because when I was doing the book business, I just wanted to be consistent. And that meant doing any trend. If there is a trend about a specific song, mixing it now with my books. And I think that led to also me playing more popular songs on TikTok and playing more popular songs and songs that people relate in this moment and not just classical music. I think that was the huge aha moment for me. Even when I was playing, I started incorporating jazz, flute. I never thought I would like jazz. I was very classically trained. I like sheet music, and it's in the entrepreneurial world. It's again the way you said you can do. Just put it out there. And then after you put it out there, you realize, oh, people like romance books better than historical fiction books better. Okay, that's okay. So next time, if I'm doing a video, I'll put more romance books and less historical books because there's still that one person that would like a historical book. So that's the same way with my food journey now. It's I'm starting to incorporate everything. I'm not just focusing on, hey, I only play in orchestras, that's it. That was me before. I only play in orchestras and that's it. And I love classical music. I love the dead composers. And it's a bit different. It's more of I can play anything and tweak it. And people like it. People like authenticity. And it's okay for me to fail and let them see. Because again, the way you said, we are so trained to be so perfect. Go to orchestra rehearsals when you have your piece mastered and you don't want to make the conductor mad or anything. But now in this other world, it's people relate to the mistakes and they want to see you making the mistakes so that they can feel like, oh, she's not God. I can also try it out. And mostly for me, it's for Kenyans and mostly just people in Africa where, or someone who might be listening who didn't start playing an instrument when they're young. You can still start now. It's okay. Like you can start now and maybe you won't be the greatest violinist or the greatest flutist. That's okay. You did it, you liked it, that's fine. At least you're going to check out something before you die. Like, I did that. I actually started something and I finished it and document it. That's why I love documenting my videos. It shows me how I didn't get that note that time. And then people see that and they're like, wow, you did it this time. And a stranger is encouraging you, like right now, I get to talk to you. And it's so crazy how anyone can see the content you put out there and you're just being yourself. It's okay to make mistakes. You don't have to wait until that one time that you're now, hey, now I am ready. You will never be ready. We grow into readiness. Sometimes I record videos 1,000 times and then I pick the first video that I didn't like because you're never ready and it will never be perfect. And I think that's what I also like. It will never be perfect, and that's okay. I am not called to be perfect.
I love that. I'm not called to be perfect. Yeah,
I am not called to
exactly.
be perfect. If you want me to be perfect, that's not me.
I love all of it, Mel. The elements of authenticity, being genuine, putting perfectionism to the side, because we're not perfect.
Yeah.
We're human. And the only one who is perfect is God himself. And it's great to surrender that and take that weight off your shoulders, because now you can breathe. Now you can create. Now you can show up and go, oh, it's great to be human.
Exactly. And I remember, actually, just to bring this up real quick, I remember I was doing a cover of Oscar winning Tears by Rai, and I was messing up. I was reading the music and then I messed up, and I just kept on playing and adding notes and it felt good. And I decided the caption will be me messing up and trying to jazz things up. And people were like, it sounded great. I think it sounded great. In my classical world, that was not great at all. But in the normal person's world who doesn't even relate to the classical music, everyone relates to messing up because we all mess up one time or another. But the way we make the messing up beautiful is what attracts people. Because if I messed up and put my flute down, it will be like, I don't feel encouraged by you. Why are you putting it down? So I'll keep playing, and if it's something really beautiful, someone will see that and they will relate to that, and it'll give them hope that sometimes our mistakes are really beautiful if you think about it. Yeah.
1,000%. I love that word, relatable. That's amazing. Yeah. So because you are honoring your time, and I do want to honor your time, I'm watching the clock, and you probably have another appointment after me, or you have something on your docket, which I want to definitely respect. With that being said, is there something that you would like to leave the flutist with? Some sort of encouragement, some sort of piece of advice that really transformed you? Anything to kind of put a bow onto this conversation to wrap it up?
I think what I would tell my future self. So maybe to any young person out there, or just someone who's starting out the flute journey, it's okay to start slow. And if the pace won't take up right now, that's still fine. If it will take up right now and it's a lot of pressure, that's fine. But now you need to know how to manage that. You can't let the stress get to you. And you're uniquely yourself. So your story is totally unique to yourself. My story is different from yours, Heidi. We're totally different. But now we are connecting because that just those one or two things that we'll get to connect to. And that means not trying to be perfect, because no one is perfect. Just do your best, give it your all, and let God do the rest.
I love that. I love your sweet spirit, and I love your testimony. And I learned a lot from you. And the whole time you were talking, I was like, can Mel be my mentor? Because I need to take some lessons from you.
No, you're too kind. No, come on, you're the perfect one. You know how to articulate your words. I'm blown away. You explain one thing in 2 minutes, I would explain it in a paragraph.
I have a little practice, and I'm probably like 20 years older than you, and I've done like 500 podcast episodes. So it's all about experience. It's all about experience. It's all about, like you said, slow and steady wins the race, and showing up. And how I communicate now is not how I communicated 7 years ago. And, thank goodness for that. And so it's fun to watch that journey unfold, for sure.
Yeah, it's really great. It's really great to see yourself grow. It's incredible the way I'm seeing myself grow. And I'm so proud of myself right now. So proud. Seeing you out the university me would not think this day would come. Never. So right now we are giggling inside. I am not sleeping tonight.
You are the
so much,
sweetest.
Heidi.
You're welcome.
You've made it come true. Seeing it's the same way, seeing the people who encouraged you growing up and the guests that you bring are so mind-blowing, and they give some of us a lot of hope and whatever is happening, the specific seasons in our lives. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you so much. You're doing
I
a lot.
appreciate. I appreciate that, Mel. You're so kind. Is there a place where people can go to support you and or your businesses? Is there a Instagram handle that you would like to share?
Yeah. So on Instagram, it's Melvine with an E at the end _Naliaka, and TikTok the same. On YouTube, it's Melvine Flute. Also on LinkedIn, it's Melvine Naliaka. Yeah, crows.
Awesome. I will put all of those links in the show notes below. Thank you so much for your time, energy, and talents, Mel, and I wish you nothing but the best and major blessings on you, your life, your business, and all the people that you get to touch oh so beautifully with your kind spirit.
Thank you so much. You're so kind. Oh my goodness. I'm not going to cry. Nope, not crying.
Well, I'm going to cry after this.
If Melvine's story hit home for you and you're ready to show up for your art and your calling without apology, this is your moment. The Flute 360 Accelerator's live session is happening this Saturday, June 28th, 2025, and we're being joined by the inspiring Dr. Kristen Caliendo. This isn't just another Zoom call. It's a space to feel supported, to be reminded of your purpose, and to surround yourself with the tools and community that help you move forward with clarity and confidence. You'll get access to the live session when you enroll in Tier 2 or Tier 3. Click the link in the show notes below and come be a part of something special.
Let's talk about Flute.